Angela Sharp, and you already know you're watching STL TV, but today we are blessed with Gregory Williams Welsch here, actor. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, Angela. Thank you.
I know we're going to talk about Christmas with C.S. Lewis, but first, you are local.
Yes, I grew up here in St. Louis, in Rock Hill, went to St. Mary Magdalene Brentwood, as we just talked, worked at Carl's Drive-In, and then went to St. Louis U High right across the street from here.
That's so amazing.
Yes.
So you're a local guy who's made it big. You've been in movies, you've been in the smaller screen, but I feel like you really love an actual live audience play.
Yes, I think my first love is theater acting. And speaking of St. Louis U High, it's funny, one of the biggest parts of my development and many of classmates and other, Ken Quapis, the movie director, Brian Hofeld, we all worked with Joe Schulte over there. He was the theater teacher. And actually the new theater they built several years back is named for Mr. Schulte. And he really taught us how to be good but professionals. I mean, when I went to University of Missouri, oh, you work with Schulte? Cool, we don't need to worry about you. And that's St. Louis U High. And then this building, I was talking to one of the gentlemen, it used to be the emergency building in high school. When we'd have dances over there, we would sneak across Oakland and hide behind the wall and drink our Regal No. 4 beer that we ran across the river for.
So being in the studio really is kind of a little full circle, if you will.
In a way.
You're not drinking on the roof, you're down here.
I'm down here. Finally, you couldn't go inside. Back then, it was the emergency.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was funny.
Well, I was going to ask you, I know obviously SLU had a great inspiration on your life, but when did you kind of know that you were good at this and you could be an actor?
Well, it's funny, my older sister Kathy was a theater major at St. Louis University. And when I was a little kid, we went to St. Mary Magdalene Brentwood. Kathy she went to Narings Hall and was always in plays. And so when they needed kids, like they did The King and I at Narings Hall, they needed the kids, the King's Children. She got me into it. And then once I was in 8th grade, she was at St. Louis University doing Our Town, and Emily, the lead that she was playing, has a little brother, Wally. And he's in one scene at the very beginning, and then he dies, and he's in the cemetery scene in Act 3, if you're familiar with the show. None of the college kids wanted to do it. So she got me into it. So I was Wally in Our Town at St. Louis University, and I would get up in 8th grade and go, oh, sorry, guys, I got to go do a matinee.
I gotta go show.
Please, no pictures.
So this really started, I mean, from a very early age, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. But now you are coming to Westport, coming up.
Westport Playhouse,
which is going to be great. Now let's talk about, because I find this place I've never seen it, but I find it so intriguing. Christmas with C.S. Lewis. Kind of walk us through what that's about. I heard a lot of Catholic roots there, so I kind of get that this might be just right up your alley.
well, it's funny, I actually played the Westport Playhouse with my partner David Payne, who's an English actor. We did, back in 2019, we did Lewis and Tolkien at the Westport Playhouse, where David plays C.S. Lewis, and I play J.R.R. Tolkien. And it's a beautiful little, very intimate 200-seat theater. And the conceit of Christmas with C.S. Lewis, and there's another one that David has written called An Evening with C.S. Lewis that's more generic. But this Christmas is, actually, back in the day, Lewis's agents would bring groups of American writers and historians. They would come to tour Oxford, and they would arrange for groups of them to come to his house. And he would serve them, him and his brother Warren, would serve them tea and crumpets, and he would just talk about his books and his writing and his history and his wife, and they would ask questions. So the conceit of the show is that this is a group of American tourists, historians, and writers that come to Oxford, and they're going to spend Christmas in Oxford. And so they've come to Lewis's house, and he's kind of teaching them about, or talking to them about Christmas habits and traditions in England. So it's, it runs about 90 minutes, 2 acts, and it's just C.S. Lewis talking about his history and his writing and his relationship with J.R.R. Tolkien. They were the best of friends. In fact, it was Lewis that convinced Tolkien to actually write The Lord of the Rings.
Is that right?
Yes, because Tolkien was writing it, but it was kind of a hobby because he was a historian and a genealogist and a philologist, studied words, so he was writing his own languages. And Lewis said, you know, JR, you need to write this down, you know, and he finally convinced him it should be more than a hobby. And it took 12 years, but he wrote The Lord of the Rings.
That's so impressive and something I did not know.
Yeah, and then every day there was a group called the Inklings, which was C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, John Williams, Dr. Havard. They would all meet at what was called the Eagle and Child Pub, that they called the Bird and Baby. And they would meet once a week and drink pints of beer, and all the authors would read their latest chapter, read it aloud, and then people would critique it. And that's how, so Lewis says in the show that he had Tolkien had read him the entire manuscript of Lord of the Rings from his handwritten things before it was ever published or anything.
Wow.
And he would make changes or make suggestions, and
right.
you know, and they worked and they did the same with Lewis's work. Tolkien hated the Narnia series. He thought
Can
it was
you imagine?
but it was very. Just imagine those people.
That's crazy. Well, let's talk about this play, the Christmas with C.S. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody comes there, what should they expect from you?
Well, they expect us at the audience as if you're in C.S. Lewis's living room.
Okay.
And C.S. comes in and he just introduces himself and he talks about his life, talks about his very, very interesting marriage. He married an American divorcee, and that was part of the problem. There was a falling out between Tolkien and Lewis because Lewis was like an Anglican Christian. Tolkien was a very devout Catholic. And marrying a divorced woman back in the 50s
right.
was a no-no, and there was some falling out over religion. But he just talks about his writing, talks about his relationship with his wife and with Tolkien, and talks about British Christmas tradition, talks about being in World War I, because both he and Tolkien served, you know, at the Somme, you know, and it's just kind of it's really enjoyable, especially at Westport, because it's 250 seats. It's very intimate. It's like you're in the living room. You know?
I can feel your passion about not only this project, but even Westport in general, how amazing that is. Because I've been there to see shows before too, and you're right
on top.
You feel like you're in it.
And see, that's the beauty of live theater, Angela, I think too. You don't get that. I mean, in movies, it can move you, but there is like in a concert or something, there's an energy exchange between performer and audience that you really can't get anywhere else. And once it's done, it's done.
Right. And
you're in the moment, and it's art.
You can't capture that back,
yeah. But so you're there, and what I like about it too is because of the conceit of the living room, they're actually in my living room, there's no fourth wall.
Right.
It's like a lot of times, like, you know, Lewis and Tolkien, we're there and we're at the pub, so you know that's the wall with the windows,
right.
and
you can't
but in this one you can actually make contact somewhat with the audience because they're reacting. They're not asking questions or anything,
right? But they're kind of in it.
They're part of it. That's the setup. So you would talk to them as if they're in your living room because that's where they are.
It sounds like this is going to be a great one. When is this happening?
Okay, we're doing 12 shows at Westport Playhouse. It opens on Thursday, December 7th. Okay. So you have Thursday and Friday nights, and then every Saturday there's a matinee at 2, and then a show. I believe the evening show is, you might be able to correct.
Yeah,
I believe
we'll put it up there.
7:30.
Yeah.
And then Sunday at 2 again.
So there's a bunch of shows running.
Yeah, and then Monday is the dark day.
Wait,
yeah,
December 7th through the 17th?
Yeah, so Monday's a dark day, which would, and then on the 12th is Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 on Saturday, and then on 17th, Sunday will be a matinee.
There's opportunity.
Oh, there's plenty.
But we're going to need to get those tickets if we want to go see you. So we just had that up there on your screen for you just a second ago. But you can go to Westport Playhouse to get those tickets. Check that out. An evening with CSLewis.com. We'll also have some information. But if somebody's watching, because I find you just very intriguing. I can see how you can captivate an audience. If somebody wants to learn more about you, do you have your own webpage?
Yes, you can look at www.gwelsch.com, and it's just got some information about an evening with C.S. Lewis, Christmas with C.S. Lewis. I also, Saturday night, I did a preview of a one-man show that I'm getting ready to go out with Churchill, where I play Winston Churchill. So I did a preview performance, like I did last year at Shelley's for C.S. Lewis for Churchill. just because you want to get the rust out and
Right,
do
you
it
wanna get
before
the
you go to the
peak,
big
for
stage.
sure.
And then 2 weeks on the 7th of October, I'll be up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota doing Churchill. And then come back and I start the Christmas with C.S. Lewis tour in Charlotte. Actually, on my birthday, November 25th.
Hey,
got a weekend there.
It's almost the best birthday, November 27th.
Oh, hey,
We're like birthday
Sagittarius. Yeah, really. So
let's give that webpage one more time, because it's so intriguing, especially since you were a local boy back in the day.
Yes.
Here. I think that is awesome to see how you rose to fame here. So give your website one more time.
G.W. Welsch, WELSCH.com.
And then don't forget to check out Westport Playhouse so you can get those tickets to a Christmas with C.S. Lewis running December 7th through the 17th. You can also check out An Evening with CSLewis.com. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Angela. It was fun.
This is so
I can't
fun.
believe you're Webster Groves.
I know,
It's like,
I went by so
and
fast.
November 27th.
I mean,
Sagittarius
we're
rules.
buddies. Don't forget to follow us here on all your channels right there on the bottom at STL TV. Of course, keep it right here and experience St. Louis. We got more coming up for you.